Hey everyone, welcome to another video of channel DoopTube. And today I'll be doing another video about The Walking Dead. And this is gonna be one of my final videos about The Walking Dead. During this year I may upload some videos about The Walking Dead in 2019. But it's gonna be less than in 2018. In 2019 we're gonna have a lot of different videos on DoopTube. Anyway, today I'll be doing my top 10 Walking Dead characters that are definitely gonna die. But before I get started, I just want to give away a big spoiler alert. I won't be going deep into spoilers, of course, since these are more like predictions. But I will be talking a lot about the Walking Dead comics. So if you're not up to date with the Walking Dead comics, just stop watching right now because I don't want to ruin it for you. So this video is not really a big spoiler for the TV show, but it's definitely a big spoiler for the comics. But let's start off with our first character, and that is Anne, or Jadis, whatever we call her these days. Anyway, Jadis, or Anne, I'm just calling her Anne now because that's kind of her new name, I guess. But Anne is like one of the most mysterious characters on the show. And she's just starting to get very interesting. And you're gonna pick your own opinion about her, what you think about her. I think she is a very divisive character. And some people just think she's a very shitty character. And I'm not sure what her relationship is with the helicopter people. I'm not even sure who the helicopter people are. And we're definitely gonna find out, of course, in this season. But we're not gonna really find out other than that about Jadis. I have a feeling that Jadis isn't gonna live forever. And she may go with the people of the helicopter and never come back. But I don't see it happening. I actually think that Jadis is now just here. Yeah, she's just not that safe anymore. Okay. When you look at TV action dramas like The Walking Dead, and they bring in mysterious characters like Anne/Jadis, you know that they're not gonna live for long. We know that from Game of Thrones, and we're now gonna see that with Jadis in The Walking Dead. Jadis is not gonna live for that long anymore. If your character is just starting to get interesting, you're gonna get yourself killed, of course. And so, Jadis/Anne is probably gonna die during season 9. Not sure when, but it's probably gonna happen in season 9. Next is Sadiq. Now I know that Sadiq is a very new character and that he's safe for now. I also think that, of course. And Carl died for him, of course. So Sadiq is gonna have a big purpose in the future of The Walking Dead. We haven't seen it yet, really, but it's gonna happen. He's going to become a bigger and bigger character in the future. And he is actually one of the most underrated characters now on the show. And I kind of like him. I like him a lot. There's just one tiny problem with this guy, and that is that he's not gonna make it to the end of the show. Why? Well, because Sadiq is, first of all, a doctor, and we know from The Walking Dead that doctors don't live for that long. So far, there's only one doctor who may still be alive, and that's Dr. Edwards from the Grady Hospital storyline that's just skipped over. We never gonna get back to it ever again, I think. Well, whatever. But doctors do not live for that long on The Walking Dead, so that's one reason why Sadiq is on here. The second one is that I don't want to be racist or anything, but that's just how The Walking Dead works. Maybe that's also how other shows works, but Sadiq is a minority character. He is a Muslim American, And it's not racist or anything, but The Walking Dead isn't really nice to minority characters. They have them stick around for a few seasons or even a few episodes, but then they kill them off. We learned that from Tyrese, we learned that from Noah, from T-Dog. They kept them alive, but didn't really give them much development and eventually killed them off. And they're probably gonna do the same with Sadiq. And his death is coming, but it will be after like a few seasons. He's gonna stay on the show for a long time, but eventually his time will come. And number 8, we have Dwight. Now we don't know where Dwight is now, we don't even know if he's gonna come back around, but it has been reported that he was seen on the Walking Dead set for season 9. So that may seem like Dwight returned during season 9. And I could probably see that happen, of course. Even though we don't know if he's still alive or if he will ever come back, but I do think he could definitely come back during season 9 and will be a very shocking moment, a very interesting moment. It will definitely make his character more interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see him back on the show. And I would love to see that, but as we know, Dwight is an anti-hero. And as we learned from characters like Merle Dixon, Daryl's brother, anti-heroes are not gonna stay on the show for a long time. They're eventually gonna die. And Dwight is one of those anti-heroes that is probably gonna get himself killed in the future. And I just see him either making some stupid choices and get himself killed, or he will sacrifice himself for the greater good. And number 7 is King Ezekiel, and yes, King Ezekiel is definitely dying during season 9. Why? Because he died in the comics. He got his head chopped off by the Whispers, and this could happen right at the end of the season. It will be the big season 9 finale, the cliffhanger. And then right in season 10 we're gonna get the Whisper War. And so this is most likely gonna happen to King Ezekiel in the show. They're already setting up his death in the show. You can see that he wants to marry Carol, but they're never gonna get married, I think. I think they're never getting married, and that one of them is gonna die, and Ezekiel is most likely the one. And so his head is most likely gonna be chucked off by the Whispers. And that will be one of the most saddest off-screen deaths ever on the show. And yes, that's not the only reason. The second reason is because, again, I'm not being racist. It's just Ezekiel is also a minority character, and minority characters do not stick on the show for that long. I mean, I love Ezekiel. I know that a lot of people out there love Ezekiel too, but he's not gonna stick on the show for a long time anymore. His time will come during this season. And number 6, we have Rosita Espinosa. And Rosita is a great character, we all know that. She went from a kind of secondary character who's just kind of there to show off her sexuality. But eventually, she turned into a real character with real personality, with real storylines, and the actors did a great job at her. But if you know the comics, then you know that she dies and gets her head chopped off by the Whispers, just as Ezekiel does. But I don't think that's gonna happen in the show. I think that Rosita will die in a different way during the show, because they're probably gonna keep her around for a little bit longer, especially since both Rick and Maggie will be leaving the show, and then also Ezekiel, and maybe also Jerry, and if also Jay is gonna have. But I don't think she's gonna get the same death as she did from the comics. I think that Rosita will die in a very different way. Not sure what that way is, but she is gonna die eventually. I love Rosita. I know a few of you out there do. She's been one of the most divisive characters on the show. Well, she's definitely one of the greatest too. And Rosita is either gonna get herself killed during some suicide mission, or she will get her comic dead. But I don't think that second thing is gonna happen. I think that Rosita is gonna stick a little bit longer around than she did in the comics. But anyway, let's hope that before she dies, she gets at least a relationship with Daryl, because that's something they both deserve. And number 5, we of course have Rick Grimes. And Rick is on here for tons of reasons. The first one is that Robert Kirkman himself confirmed that Rick will eventually die and pass his torch on to either Daryl or Judith. Now Judith is a little bit too young. Daryl will most likely take on the new lead. And when Judith is old enough, she will also become a big character in the show, and Daryl will probably still be around then. However, Rick is gonna die during season 9. Maybe even in episode 4, maybe even in episode 5. But it's gonna happen during the first half, because actor Andrew Lincoln, who plays Rick, said himself that he's gonna stop working for The Walking Dead. He's not gonna be in The Walking Dead anymore after the first half has ended. So that means that Rick's end is coming in the first half. Not sure how it's gonna play out, but Rick will die during the first half. And it will be done in a way that's respectful to the character. It's not gonna be like the Carl death, because that was very disappointing. Rick will have a very different death. This could be more respectful to the character. And number 4, we have Eugene Potter. Well, I do know that he's still alive in the comics today, but as you can see in the comics, they're creating setting his death up to showing his death on the issue cover. His death is coming in the comics, and it's also coming on the show. Eugene isn't really gonna stick around for that long anymore. He will probably survive the Whisper War, but sooner or later, after the Whisper War, Eugene will die. So Eugene will stick with us for a long time. It's also necessary because he's a smart man, but eventually smart people die too. This is the way it works. At number 3, we have Father Gabriel, and he is on here for only 3 reasons. First one, he dies in the comics. He is, during the Whisper War, standing on a water tower with a sniper, but a big hurt is coming and he's calling for help, but he gets stuck with his foot in a ladder and then is stabbed by a Whisper, and that Whisper is Beta, the right-hand man of the leader of the Whispers, Alpha. And then after Beta stabbed him, Beta disappeared, and Gabriel is eaten by tons of walkers, and that's his death. And that's what's likely gonna happen in the show, whether you like it or not. But that's not the only reason. The second reason is, of course, that Gabriel is also a minority character, and minority characters do not stick on the show for that long, even though we want them to. And the final reason is that they're clearly setting his death up during the season. We also see that Gabriel is becoming that guy that wants to do something nice to the people and wants to do good for the world. And when you're doing good for the world, you know you're gonna get yourself killed, because that's just how The Walking Dead works. And we know that he's gonna survive season 9, of course, but we don't think he will make it out of season 10. And number 2, we have Carol Peter. And before you go all around and saying, Carol will make it to the end of The Walking Dead, of course she will. But I'm sorry, that's not gonna happen. I'm not sure how old Carol is now. I think she is either in her 50s or 60s. But Carol is a pretty old lady. She's kind of the grandma of the entire group. And she kicks ass a lot. And she's one of the most divisive characters on the show today. So what is up with her character and what her future is hard to predict. But she is not gonna stick on the show until the end. Her end will come eventually. Maybe it will be the end of her death. Maybe it will come even way later. But we do know that Carol is gonna stick on the show for a long time. Just not for that long as you may hope. And now before we get to number 1, I'd like to give away some quick album mentions.
All her lovely companions are faded and gone. No flower of her kindred, no rosebud is nigh to reflect back her blushes or to give sigh for sigh. And so soon may I follow when friendships decay, and from love's shining circle the gems drop away. When true hearts lie withered and fond ones are flown, oh, who would inhabit this bleak world alone?
I get it now. If it's you or someone else, you choose you. You take what you can. You take out who you have to, and you get to keep going. Nobody's in this together, okay? Not anymore.
Leave the cobbler. Brewer? Jerry.
Fine.
Killing me right now. Like this? What's that gonna do?
It's gonna make me feel a hell of a lot better.
And number 1 we have, of course, Negan, the biggest villain in The Walking Dead. And I don't know where he's going right now. Maybe he's still a villain today. Maybe he is becoming an anti-hero. Because if you know the comics, then you know that Negan is eventually trying to get Rick's trust, then gets himself out of prison, and then leaves Alexandria for good. Maybe he's coming back eventually in the comics, but he's now wandering around somewhere. And Negan is just kind of the character. We don't know what's gonna happen to him eventually, but we do know that his end is coming at some point. It's now set up that in episode 4, Maggie and Daryl will try to kill Negan. And I don't know if that's gonna work, how it's gonna play out. But I do think that when Rick dies, there's not really gonna be many people that want to keep Negan alive. Maybe some of the saviors will, maybe Michonne will. But Negan may get executed after Rick dies. Or Negan is gonna stick around a little bit longer and then will die for the greater good. Either way, Negan will die because that's just how it works with anti-heroes. So that was my list about the top 10 Walking Dead characters that are definitely gonna die at some point in the show. Not sure when, but they're gonna die eventually. I hope you enjoyed. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, tell in the comments below who you think will die eventually in the show, who you think will live, who you think will definitely make it to the end of the show. And also tell me what you'd like to see me do next on my channel. And I'll see you guys next time.